he didn't record and post videos. I don't know why. He doesn't explain it. I believe it has something to do with body dysmorphia, and I do believe that the body dysmorphia led to him wanting to use performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, does that not make sense? You hate your body so much, you don't care if you're going to live to be 40. Would you not resort to taking something? If you hated yourself so much that you couldn't record for 3 years, and you thought that you had to be shredded to motivate the world, and the pressure, the weight of the world was on your shoulders, to be that guy to motivate the world, you don't think that you might be tempted to take a shortcut? Of all the people in the world, William Lee would be one of the most susceptible people to want to take a performance-enhancing drug.
You can see it in my face that something was wrong. It wasn't just my body fat. It was genuinely my body weight. You can see it in my face. There's something really wrong about it.
His face is normal, guys, because he isn't shredded. He isn't peeled. He doesn't have cortisol face. He has a normal face. And so his standards are so high that, like, see how my face looks normal right now? Well, and see how fat I look there? No, you weren't fat. You didn't have a cortisol face. You're just peeled right now. When you see guys, when they're in contest shape, for example, saw Aldura over the weekend in Montreal, 5 weeks out, he's about 5% body fat, and so his cheeks are a little bit hollow. They're more hollow than Coach Greg. And so when you're very, very lean, you see people sucking and biting on their cheeks. You have that look because you have absence of body fat on your face. And so William Lee, back then, he had a more normal appearance. Perhaps he was 10% body fat. I don't know. He was still very lean, but he felt fat. He looks as his former self and says, you see, I was always ugly. And it's like, no, that's very attractive. You just have such high standards for yourself, perhaps from comparing yourself to other social media influencers. And remember, comparison is the thief. You're comparing yourself to other people and thinking, I'm not quite good enough. And so if other people are comparing themselves to William Lee, or perhaps even to Coach Greg, you might be thinking, oh, I have too much body fat. I'm not lean enough. But trust me, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to anyone. 15% body fat is healthy, and if you start dropping below that, you can start to feel lack of energy, low libido, poor mood, not able to sleep, can't concentrate, and it's because your testosterone levels are getting lower. Don't continue to diet. Don't leave the country. Don't think that it's the weather that's causing your testosterone levels to go down. You simply need to eat more. And of course, you can add in G-Test Platinum. That most certainly can help. You can use GO2 Max for improved cardio, as well as Turk Builder Max and Turk Platinum in order to recover better, increase your energy to train harder than last time, and build more muscle. Code Greg, 15% off.
I was sub 10% body fat, but I couldn't sustain it. My body just didn't feel good. And you can see it from these photos. There's something really off.
And so that thing that was off, it could have been his testosterone levels, which were too low. And then when you get on HRT, your testosterone levels, they go back to normal and you feel significantly better. And so a lot of people who are natural and trying to look like William Lee, well, the problem is their testosterone levels are not being supported. They're going to be too low and they're going to feel like dog shit. Trust me, if you diet for too long, you have no energy and you're going to feel shitty. You just are. And so if you then go on HRT and you stay on the same diet, you might start to feel better because your testosterone levels are going back to where they should be. But if you're trying to stay 100% natural, you're not using enclomiphene, of course you can get that at AlgaRx, or you're not using testosterone, then what do you expect? Not to mention, most people who diet to the extent of William Lee are going to be starving. They're going to be hungry all the time. William Lee probably does not know of GLP Max. It's a supplement that you can take that reduce your appetite by approximately 28%. William, imagine if you were 28% less hungry. You wouldn't have to eat volume foods all of the time. You wouldn't always be drinking Diet Coke to give you more energy and to feel full. And if that didn't work, you could go to AlgaRx and you could get, for example, a GLP. Drastically reduce your cravings, your hunger. Instead of being starving all the time, it's now more manageable. You don't have all of the food noise. William Lee most certainly has food noise all the time. For those several years, he's constantly thinking about hunger. He's wanting to eat, which every time he does eat, his calorie intake is going up and he's losing the vascularity, the detail in his muscles, the separation. And so what he had to do was find a way, a method to reduce his appetite. appetite, to be less hungry while keeping his testosterone levels elevated. Does that not sound like somebody that could perhaps be resorting to GLP as well as testosterone HRT? I mean, does that not seem like the normal way? And so whether he is or not, what about you? What are you going to do? I mean, really, does it matter if he's natural or not? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter to you or to I, it only matters to him, to himself. If you want to stay 100% natural and not be starved out of your mind and not have lower levels of testosterone, you probably got to be more like 10 to 15%. You try to diet to this extent, you're going to feel like dog shit. Now, if you must diet to this, perhaps you need enclomiphene. Perhaps you need a GLP. I mean, even Greg O'Gallagher, he's on terzipatide. And so if Greg O'Gallagher, who is against performance-enhancing drugs for years, is now on them, and remember, he still says he's a lifetime natural, and personally, hey, it's just regulating his appetite. It's not helping him to build muscle. And so he is natural. Now, will it be banned by WADA in the future? Well, probably it is that affected. But for now, if you use a GLP, you're natural. And so if you want to use a GLP, Algo RX, they're not some scummy research chemical site. It's doctors that prescribe it from compounding pharmacies, and it's 100% exactly what it's going to be. And so don't take any chances. Get it from AlgoRx code Greg for 10% off.
I feel a lot better, and I think the thing that moved the needle the most was truly my body weight. I'm almost as lean as I was before, but I feel so much better now.
I'm almost as lean as I was before, but the visual evidence, we've seen him. He was literally recording videos with Coach Greg, is that he's leaner now than ever. He's leaner now than before. And so does he still have some distortion of the mind, perhaps some body dysmorphia? Because it's very obvious that at this moment, he's leaner than he was, and he states he's 20 pounds bigger.
So going from like malnourished to what I look like today, I don't think in 3 years it's impossible to think that I put on this weight.
Like, it doesn't make sense that you're just saying, okay, I was dieting, and perhaps you're watching this and you're a 20-year-old, 18, whatever, and you're like 7-8% body fat, but you're only 150 pounds. Maybe you're 6 foot, 150, 7-8% body fat, and you don't feel good. And so what do? Well, you leave the country where it's warmer, and I don't know, maybe your testosterone goes up because it's warmer, because of the weather, and then over the next 3 years, you put 20 pounds of muscle on while still being shredded, or perhaps even more shredded. And now 3 years later, because you've been training harder than last time for 3 years, now you're 170 and you're at the same body fat percentage, but now you feel great. You have tons of energy because you no longer weigh 150, you weigh 170. And so, hey, if you're suffering right now and you're not feeling good, the secret, the hack is just suffer for 3 more years while lifting weights, put on 20 pounds of muscle, and eventually you'll feel amazing. That doesn't make sense. And how would you put on those 20 pounds if you weren't eating enough? You know, unless you were, of course, on performance-enhancing drugs, and that would make sense. But what was the solution? Like, how did you solve this problem? You said you went to a different country and the weather was better. Like, how does that make sense? Make it make sense to me.
I thought I made the message pretty clear that it wasn't my body fat percentage that was the problem. It was my weight that was the problem.
I still don't understand what he's trying to say. It almost sounds like he says, look, as long as you have enough muscle, you can be shredded and you have a lot of energy. This is bullshit. Like, I'm telling you this. William, you're wrong. I've been the bigger guy with the lower body fat percentage even than you have, and I had no energy, felt like shit even with steroids. If you have too low a body fat percentage, I don't care if you're 250 pounds of muscle, you're eventually going to feel like dog shit. Not everyone can sustain a lower body fat than last time and still have energy just because they have big muscles. Even if you're on Retta or on a GLP, for example, terzipatide or Ozempic, if you don't eat enough or you're doing too much cardio, you're going to feel like dog shit. The first time I experienced this was when I was in high school dieting for my first bodybuilding competition. I'm on the swim team. I'm the athlete of the year. I'm doing triathlons and I have no energy. I'm barely functioning in gym class. I'm playing basketball. Can I sub out? I don't have the energy to run. And the gym teacher said, what's wrong with you? I was on a diet. I wasn't eating enough. I was preparing for my very first bodybuilding competition. I didn't know what testosterone testosterone was at the time. If I had tested mine, it most certainly would have been in the toilet. And so I did 42 competitions, 100% natural. Every single time, no energy. And remember, over the years, every single show, I got bigger. And getting more muscle did not solve anything. And so whether it was my smallest show where I was 142 pounds natural, or when I was competing in the 170s when I was natural, I still had no energy. 30 pounds added muscle and still no energy, William. And so the key isn't that you just put on more muscle and you have more energy. It doesn't work. And even with steroids, when I did my pro shows, I still had no energy. I'm telling you, it's not your weight, it's your body fat percentage. And so, William, the fact that you have more energy now than when I met you, and you're clearly leaner than that, it tells me that something fishy is going on.
If I really did hop on, why would I not be like 200 pounds right now? I would probably be a lot bigger.
This makes me even more convinced that he's not 100% natural, and that he wasn't during those 3 years. He's saying, oh, if I wasn't natural, then why am I not 200 pounds? William, because you're not on trend. You're not on high doses. Think of it. I'm on HRT. I'm not natural, and I haven't put on any muscle. Because before I was on higher doses, I was taking tests, tren, you name it, I was on it. And since that time, just tests. And so if you're 146 pounds and you have no energy and you claim you have cortisol face, you're probably natural. Okay. Now, you then go on testosterone. Let's call it 100 milligrams of test a week. It doesn't have to be a lot. You go from 146 to 156. Then you're thinking, no, that's not enough. 200 milligrams of test. You go from 156 to perhaps 160. Then you go on 250. And now you're at 166 pounds and you're on a high dose HRT and you feel amazing. You eat whenever you want. Perhaps it's just 2 meals a day. And you still look and feel better than ever before because you're not natural. Your testosterone levels are higher. If you try to diet down for a bodybuilding show and got down to, let's say, 4% body fat, you probably feel like dog shit. That is the name of the sport.
So I think he's implying that I recently just hopped on something, a GLP. I don't even know exactly what these things are, but I've never injected anything.
That's a typical excuse. I don't even know what those things are. You know, I'm a king. I'm highly educated. I've been researching everything. Hypertrophy, reps in reserve, time under tension, all of the studying. But what's a GLP? I don't know what that stands for. I don't know what RETA is. You're telling me there's things that have been created that could lower my appetite, that would make it easier for me to stick to a diet? You're telling me that there's performance-enhancing drugs that I could use in low doses that would keep the estrogen lower, for example, Masteron or Primo, and that my face wouldn't look bloated and I could get leaner, or that I could take, for example, Nolvadex or Arimidex, and that would lower the amount of estrogen in my body and that would make me look leaner than ever, or perhaps decrease the water retention, the bloating in my face, so that maybe I could take a diuretic before recording this video and flush out the water so that I could have the leanest friggin' videos of all time. I don't know anything about that because, well, I'm natural, and natural athletes, they don't know what steroids or performance-enhancing drugs, well, they don't know what they actually are.
But I think he's implying that I just hopped on recently and that's how I got my physique that I do now, which still doesn't make sense because if I was going to do it, why didn't I do it before? Why did I wait 3 years to do it?
I ran into him one day multiple years ago and I couldn't believe the sight I was seeing. He was huge, shredded. I was thinking, William, what have you done? Visually, I saw him with my own 2 eyes, looking absolutely incredible, perhaps even better than he is right now. But yet he still wasn't recording. And so I don't know the real story. I don't know. But what I do know is the visual of William Lee having put on 15 pounds of muscle in a matter of months. That I saw with my own 2 eyes. And I wasn't alone. Friends saw it too. I said, this is William Lee. Look at this guy. He didn't record and post videos. I don't know why. He doesn't explain it. I believe it has something to do with body dysmorphia, and I do believe that the body dysmorphia led to him wanting to use performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, does that not make sense? You hate your body so much, you don't care if you're going to live to be 40, would you not resort to taking something? If you hated yourself so much that you couldn't record for 3 years, and you thought that you had to be shredded to motivate the world, and the pressure, the weight of the world was on your shoulders, to be that guy to motivate the world, You don't think that you might be tempted to take a shortcut? Of all the people in the world, William Lee would be one of the most susceptible people to want to take a performance-enhancing drug. Does anyone think that I'm lying? Is there a single soul watching this video right now that doesn't believe that I saw him at Toronto at that pool party with hundreds of other people with those two girls on either side? Does anyone think I'm making this shit up? He looked amazing. I'm telling you that I swear to God on my mother's life, my parents, all of the people I've ever met in my life, this guy I saw and he looked ridiculous. I don't believe he's natural. I don't know why he didn't record the videos. He's leaving something out. But this, I swear, I am not lying. And so, if you still think I'm lying, you think I'm making this show, I'm just planning this for views. Unsubscribe. You go follow William Lee. I don't care. And so just like I say I'm not lying, the same thing applies when I talk about Turk Builder Max. I put on the 4 pounds, and if you don't believe it's muscle, call it lean tissue. Whatever the frig you want to call it. If you don't think it works, you don't need to buy it. But if you do buy it, there's a money-back guarantee. It's not store credit. It's a rumor started by Diego. And so you get your money back. Let's say you spend $80 on the product. You get $80 back. And on top of that, you get $50 of score credit. On top of that, extra in addition to. Do you understand it now? And so is that a scheme? The scheme is, if this doesn't work and exceed your expectations, all of the money that you spend on it, you get it back. And you have extra store credit to get something different. People roll, oh, you got to buy the same product. I read the comments. I'm thinking, are these people that stupid? Yes, they are, because half the world has an IQ below 100. And so half the world, a bunch of morons. And so with the store credit, the $50, you could get perhaps a Seco bar. If you don't want a Seco bar, you get a Perilite. You get some GO2 Max. You can get some protein. You can get creatine. You can get whatever supplement that you want.
It took me 3 years of synthesizing knowledge, learning to get here. And that's why I'm so excited as a natural to come back with all this information for you kings.
And so I don't understand all this research, and he doesn't understand the basics, that the temperature doesn't affect your testosterone, that you can't just figure it out over 3 years and suddenly come back shredded, that it's not just putting on more muscle that allows you to stay shredded year round.
Straight up says that there's no way I'm a lifetime natural. Honestly, I'll take that as a compliment. That's peak.
I mean, if he's actually natural, of course you would take it as a compliment. But think of it. He won't even take Cialis. He won't give us anything. No enclomiphene, no Cialis, nothing. And remember, is Cialis not natty? Cialis is natural. It's not banned by WADA. And so would it not make sense that William Lee, who's very, very lean, he wants to see that vein, he pointed to it. If he took Cialis, would he not see more of that vein? And so why wouldn't he take it? It's not going to have negative health consequences.
Taken? This is how he looked natty. So he thinks I look better than that? That is nuts.
And so clearly Coach Greg has elite level genetics, and I actually was better than William Lee. If he was competing against me in a bodybuilding competition, I would have beat him. Better muscles insertions and so on. But just because I was able to do it doesn't mean that he could. I'm not saying that the physique that he has right now is impossible for anyone in the world to achieve, just not him. He had already been training for years and he got to 146 pounds. And then he added 20 pounds on top of that. That is highly suspicious. If his starting physique was at 146 pounds and he put on 20 pounds in a few years after that, then absolutely. The physique he's showing for me right here, this is not even near my prime. I was significantly bigger than this. I believe I was 150 some odd pounds here. I'm not even 160 pounds. I just had better genetics. And I'm a 5'6" manlet. And so when I weigh 150 some odd pounds, it looks larger than life. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo. Feel free to go to Algo RX, watch one of those 2 videos. And if you want to get sponsored by myself and use these amazing supplements, or to be an ambassador, or of course, if you want to promote my supplements in your stores and or gym, or if you want to get coached by myself or myself and my team, you click the freaking link. And until next time, I am out.